I'm Kev Walsh, and my favourite game of the 1920 season was Liverpool 5, Everton 2 on the 4th of December. The derby is one of them games for me. I start thinking about it a few weeks in advance. I always know it's the first game I look out for when the fixture list comes out, and for other fans there's Man City, United, some even put Chelsea in there, but it's never been like that for me. It's always been Everton, and it comes from being in the city with them. I've got members of my own family are Blue Noses. My granddads were both Evertonians. I think when you live in a city as closely as we do with them, it's so important that you've got the upper hand on them. I think all of my match-going mates all view them at the Everton games the same way that I do. It's a very intense rivalry, and everyone's buzzing for it to be Derby Day, but everyone's simultaneously worried about actually losing the derby. Derby Day it's supposed to be a big day, it's supposed to be a special day, and if it's on a Saturday or a Sunday, you can make a bit of a day out of it. You can go for breakfast first, have a few bevies before the match, a bit of a party afterwards. But with this being a Wednesday, it doesn't take away from the game as such, but it just takes away from the day a little bit. So on the day I'd been in work, finished early, and got out probably about 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, something like that. I got home, got changed, and I'd been out for a few pints in the afternoon, and we got the team news just as we arrived at the hotel tier. I was with Craig Hannon, Gibbons, Neil was there. There was plenty of the Anfield Wrap crowd and all my match-going mates as well.
Just as things were getting dark, there's pyro in the air, Webster's just played, everyone's excited, they're now up for the game. And then we see the team sheet.
The goalie was already out, he'd been sent off the game before against Brighton, so Adrian was in there. The centre-halves included Dejan Lovren, which is always a scary thought for any Liverpool fan, I suppose. To be fair, he played well in this game, he actually sets one of the goals up. But then we had Lallana in midfield.
It's Shaqiri, it's Origi, and suddenly there's just this feeling of like dread.
The likes of Neil was very blasé. He's just, we can beat these with any team out there. Jurgen Klopp's got their number type of thing, and it's fair to say I and Craig Hannon were on the opposite end of the scale. We were very upset with the team, and I was absolutely fuming.
There was a bit of anger in Tia, I'll be honest. There was a bit of name calling for Klopp. And I don't. That sounds completely irrational because of where Liverpool were and because of Everton were and because of the history and because it had been since 1999 that Everton had won that fixture in the league.
20 years without them beating us, there shouldn't be any nervousness around playing Everton at Anfield. It should just be a matter of course that we go out and beat them, and it probably is, but it just doesn't feel like that. And I don't ever want it to feel like that either. I want to have that nervousness. And it's funny, I was with Craig, as I say, and he probably lost his head. Maybe even more than I did. Well, maybe not more. We'll call it an honourable draw. Them cold, like December nights. The Saturday 3 o'clock games, it's dark, but obviously Wednesday night at 8 o'clock, it's freezing cold. It's pitch black. But I love going to Anfield on nights like that. It smells different. There's a different atmosphere. There's a crackle in the air when you're walking up to the game.
The fact that it's in December, it always adds a little bit for me. Like I enjoy sort of being able to sing the Manny Christmas song, and the fact that it is always sort of a night game, even without, even if it is a 4 p.m. kickoff, it's still dark, it's still under the lights. The Everton fans in Anfield always give it an edge, especially when they walk up to the ground, because obviously we're in Hotel T, it's on Anfield Road, so there is a 15-minute period where that road's closed and it's the Everton fans walking up. There's blue pyro, there's things being broken. It gets like a little bit, it gets you up for it, sort of seeing all of that happening, seeing how much they're up for it. They've walked from the brick.
Obviously, I'm up in there 306 on the Cop Road 60, and it's a very Scouse crowd up there. It's fair to say, it's lads who've been going to match for a long time, and it's a great place to be for any game. The atmosphere is always good up there. It's always a laugh. There's always people taking a piss. It's just a great place to be for any match. But obviously Derby Day, it's even better. It's a little bit more special on that day. And we bounced into the grounds as always against Everton, and everyone was up. Everyone's blood was up. And
that's one of the bits about it that gets me most up for the game, is whenever you do see Kev and you see Mick and you see, more of your mates sort of come up, and there's that sort of nod and the handshakes and the excitement, and You know, the clock starts to get loud, and there is that sort of feeling of anticipation that this is not only a Merseyside derby, but it's a huge game in Liverpool's season in their quest for number 19.
I was expecting Everton to have a go at us because they had nothing to lose. I was expecting them to be big and bold and play long balls, but be ropey at the back, and that's exactly the way the game turned out to be in the end. The game itself, the scoring was mental, as I say, 4-2 at half time. It's unheard of in a derby, but the game itself was very much end-to-end. Everton had a couple of chances. They had a penalty decision that went against them, which when I've looked back on the replays, I must admit I think we got lucky with that one. If it wasn't in front of the cop, put it that way, I think they might have got the decision. I think some of the things I might have been saying about Jurgen Klopp, I certainly wouldn't want him to have heard them, to be fair. And obviously, I was proven to be an absolute idiot because the way the game went, we obviously go out first. I think we scored one after 6 minutes. David Origi rounds Jordan Pickford and puts one away. And then, I think 15 minutes or something like that, Shaqiri gets one as well. So the two players who have been criticised for being in the team have shut me up after 15 minutes. We go 2-0 up, they get one back, so Michael Keane scored. Then we go 3-1 up, and then we go 4-1 up, and then they get one back just before half time. So we go down at half time, and it's 4-2, and everyone's just laughing their heads off. Or everyone goes down for a pint, and it's just like, what were we worried about? Doesn't matter who we play. We can play Milan and we'd still beat these. It's just the way we do it. When you're beating Everton 4-2, the second half of any game like that is always just going to be an absolute joy, because it's just before Christmas, so we can sing our Merry Christmas Everton song. So at the final whistle, it wasn't what you'd call a giant and let off like that, like thank God we've won, because basically we just took the piss for the whole second half, and it was great. It was absolutely fantastic. It's a great feeling of elation and joy, but also it's not just any win over Everton is great, but that win put us 8 points clear at the top of the table and put Everton into the relegation zone, so it was fair to say it was party time when we got back to the pub.
Afterwards, there was that sort of feeling of joy. It was back in the Glenbuck, you know, to do all of our post-match content, but also to have a big, massive bevy with our mates and a dance and a sing. There was loads of singing going off. I remember sort of listening to the post-match show afterwards, and you know, it was difficult for them to get a word in with you know, the songs going on in the background.
They're going to be dead precise. Going to do all these structured starts. Yeah. No, lads. What you don't realise is use your dog shit. So what was it going to do? It's just thinking over your head. Merry Christmas, Everton. Sun is rolling all around us. Come by singing, having fun. It's the season, love and understanding. Merry Christmas, Everton.
And so getting into the pub and seeing the faces of your mates and discussing the game, and I saw Kev after the game, yeah, and we had a laugh about how silly we made ourselves look by being annoyed and a little bit angry at the starting lineup before the game in Tia.
We both just looked at each other and laughed and just said, what a pair of dickheads we are. Who do we think we are to question the great Jurgen Klopp, to question Divock Origi with his goal scoring record against Everton? How stupid were we?
Look, of course Kev's made up. Liverpool beating Everton is his bread and butter, really. It doesn't matter what else happens in the season. He wants a league title as much as anyone, but as long as Liverpool beat the Blue Shite is what I'd imagine he'd say when you have him on camera here. So he was made up, all smiles, you know, bouncing around, hugging like he does.
I always say I'd take it and be 10-0 by Man United to beat Everton 1-0, because they're my main rivals and they're the ones I always want to win. So when Neil asked me to pick a game from this season, my favourite game, I went through all the normal ones, the Man United's at home when Salah breaks away and everyone starts singing we're going to win the league. But for me, the way we did it against Everton, and the fact that I'd thrown the hissy fit beforehand when I'd seen the team sheet, and the fact that it was putting them in the relegation zone, that just meant there was no other game for me to talk about besides this one.